of the report from the government. The Daily reported that the Umar will travel to Delhi soon to hand over a draft of the resolution to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. However, opposition reacted on the report. The J&K parties had their opinion even before the denial, or because there was lack of confirmation too. So neither denied nor confirmed came as a sellout. The PDP, which is the People's Conference, as well as other leaders like Mr. Engineer Rashid, they had their own opinion on this issue. They said that this is a letdown and the original goal is the restoration of Article 370. So our debate, our conversation is going to be, is it a letdown or Omar Abdullah is behaving in a pragmatic way? Is he leaving aside the election rhetoric? Is he trying to move on? Are the issues which we will talk about? Because obviously the restoration is something which cannot be decided. And perhaps people forget that it might be a local issue, but there is a national consensus that the restoration of Article 370 cannot take place. That the revocation of Article 370 perhaps was a good decision. So let me play out the bites of the players in J&K, and then I am going to introduce my guests.
अगर वो 370 और 35 से भी इसमें लाते हैं हम उनका वेलकम करते हैं। तो आपका मतलब क्या ये है या जो हमारे नाक़दीन है कि हम वेलकम करें उमर साहब सिर्फ स्टेटहुड मांगे? स्टेट सर सुनिए ना प्लीज, स्टेटहुड वैसे भी उमर साहब मांग रहे हैं। मुझे कितनी सीटें मिलती हैं उनको स्टेट कितनी मिलती हैं? ये सीटों की लड़ाई नहीं है, ये जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों के बेसिक राइट्स की लड़ाई है। इंजीनियर सीट को लोग रिजेक्ट करें ओन करें वो लोगों का फैसला है, लेकिन आप भी राइटिंग ऑन द वॉल पढ़ रहे हैं। आप 370-35 की बात हो नहीं रही है, एक पॉइंट पर बात हो रही है स्टेटहुड स्टेटहुड स्टेटहुड। सो बी फेयर विद द पीपल ऑफ J&K। फिर जो आपने रिजल्ट्स की बात की दैट इज सेपरेट थिंग। आई एम सेटिस्फाइड, हमारी नुमाइंदगी असेंबली में है, हमारी पार्टी को रजिस्ट्रेशन भी नहीं दिया और हम मानते हैं कि वो NC सजाद साहब बाकी जो बीजेपी के साथ दर पर्दे के पीछे मिले हैं, ना हमें कॉमन सिंबल दिया गया और हम आई डोंट वांट टू रिपीट इट टाइम एंड अगेन। आपकी वजह से कह रहा हूं, हमारे इशू से हमारी सीटों से इंपॉर्टेंट यह है कि जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों के हुकूक का क्या हो। अगर उमर साहब 370-35 ए पर वो वापस लाते हैं हम उनके पीछे पीछे चलेंगे। हालांकि कश्मीर का इशू तो भी हल करना है। अगर वो सिर्फ स्टेटहुड को लेके लोगों को बेवकूफ बनाना चाहेंगे, आई डोंट थिंक दैट इज फेयर। वो वैसे भी बीजेपी की कमिटमेंट है।
अच्छी बात है, स्टेटहुड तो रेजोल्यूशन नहीं भी पास करे उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, वो तो कमिटमेंट है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने। ऑन द फ्लोर बात की थी अमित शाह जी ने, वो तो वैसे भी मिलना था। वो अब आप कैबिनेट पास करें नहीं करे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता उस चीज से, तो ये अच्छी बात है। लेकिन स्टेटहुड आपको फुल स्टेटहुड मिले तो बात बनती है। अगर दिल्ली वाला स्टेटहुड मिलता है तो कोई उससे कोई मानी नहीं बनता, हम ये मानते हैं।
And on this, I am joined by Ahmed Ali Fayaz, senior journalist who joined me from Srinagar, and Ajit Jha, senior journalist from Delhi. A very warm welcome to both of you. And a line which is going to stick with me for a while. Delhi wala state chahiye ya Kashmir wala state chahiye? So I'll go to Mr. Fayaz first. Mr. Fayaz, why has this report caused so much of flutter, sir?
I saw this report in the morning in Daily Excelsior. Thereafter, I spoke to some senior leaders in the national conference. Most of them said that they don't have any knowledge about this thing. But a couple of them insisted that such kind of a resolution has been passed in Mr. Omar Abdullah's first cabinet meeting yesterday. They did not have details. Thereafter, I tweeted it and I wrote that the Department of Information, the General Administration Department of the Government of Jammu and Kashmir, they are both silent about it. Normally, when a government business takes place, a press note comes out. Yesterday also, I spoke to the Chief Minister's advisor and he said that there are agenda items in the cabinet meeting. I thought that this will be a routine review meeting. He said, no, there are agenda items. He did not specify what exactly was there, but he said that shortly the orders and the minutes will come out. These have not come out until this moment, so it is very difficult for us to comment on it, what exactly does it contain? Is there any resolution about the restoration of statehood or about restoration of Article 370, or at all there is no resolution, and we are talking about this media report? You asked me why is this? This is because the opposition is completely hungry of some issues at this moment, because they have been completely demolished by the massive mandate National Conference has got across the Kashmir Valley and also in Jammu's Pir Panchal and Chenab regions. So they have nothing to raise this time if they get this kind of a step that Omar Abdullah has passed a resolution only to the extent of demanding the statehood, restoration of statehood. So it is obvious that they will try to issue statements, hold press conference. That's exactly what they did. And some of the issued statements, and most of them are critical of National Conference, that they are mellowing down on their commitments made in their election manifesto. That is clear.
Ajit, there are two things, there are two questions, and I'm going to go back to Mr. Fayaz. You know, when there is no confirmation and there is no denial, this is something which I have learned the hard way. I was a young journalist, and I can say this on air, taught to me actually by Dr. Sanjay Baru. There was something, and I called him and I said that, is this correct? And I'm not going to talk about the report. He said, Kartike, I can neither confirm it nor deny it. And I didn't have the heart to run. I didn't have the courage. So later when I met him, he said, when I say I can't confirm it and you don't deny it, then you got to run with it. So now when it's neither confirmed nor denied, one, where does it take this story? And second thing, as Mr. Fayaz said, is it because that, Omar Abdullah has smashed the entire opposition, he's the king of the valley right now, He has smashed that entire space. So the opposition is going back to the most emotive issue to corner him. Two questions.
So, first of all, let me state that during his campaign, Omar Abdullah, and let's be honest what he said, in the manifesto, he mentioned the restoration of Article 370, but in a few open interviews, he mentioned that, look, if we come to power, and he said whoever will be the chief minister, he will be, first job will be, to push for the restoration of statehood. Then when he was asked about Article 370, he actually clearly indicated, he said that, look, that is a dream, but given the present dispensation, which basically abrogated Article 370, so we are not in a position to comment on it. We are not in a position to realize it. However, we will keep trying. So this was before he became the Chief Minister of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. So is no more on the agenda, right? Even the Congress party, which is part of the alliance, although they haven't joined the government, they were totally quiet on Article 370 in their manifesto. None of the leaders, Rahul Gandhi or any of the local leaders or even the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, they never talked about Article 370. Total silence. So obviously all of us realize that this is a pure, pipe dream. Now the opposition, obviously it has nothing else because the government has just formed. The government has a majority. The government has brilliantly, Omar Abdullah has brilliantly made the Deputy Chief Minister from Jammu. In fact, remember, Mr. Chowdhury, the Deputy Chief Minister, had just crossed over from the BJP to JNK, but he was made because he wants equal representation from Jammu. Therefore, if you look at his cabinet, 3 from Jammu, 3 from Kashmir. So the opposition right now, what else can it do? Because the government has just formed, right? Just sort of passed the restoration of statehood. So it goes on screaming, shouting, Article 370, that is the main agenda. But obviously, that is a total pipe dream, according to me. In fact, I think some of the other things that Omar Abdullah during his campaign had mentioned, he had said one of the first things he's going to do, and hopefully we'll see He said he will try and get the innocents who are in the jail. I think he had quoted a figure. I think we should ask Mr. Fayaz for the accurate figure. Something like 6,000 youngsters are in jail on pure allegations, none of which is proved. He wanted them to be released because that's an emotive issue in the Kashmir Valley. He mentioned some of the other things that he would like to change when he would come to power, like the changes in land laws, the changes in, when people get the job laws. All of these criteria had changed, right? During the last 10 years, there was a domicile thing introduced. So he kept arguing that these are the smaller changes that he can bring about. Anyway, given the fact that, he is just a chief minister of a union territory, he just controls matters like education, like health, like, for example, municipal laws, panchayati laws, agriculture maybe, tourism, something very important for Jammu and Kashmir, things like transport maybe, not national highways, but state highways, labor laws, social welfare. So he should focus on that.
Ajit, it's a newspaper report. First we have to be very clear. It's a newspaper report. It has been published. Opposition in the J&K has reacted to it. Correct. My first question was, no confirmation, no denial. But my second question is, it also reflects Omar's pragmatism. Omar is not an fringe leader. Omar Abdullah is not an extreme leader. Omar Abdullah's commitment to national security has been unblemished. I mean to say, he's a state leader with a national reputation. There are many state leaders, but Omar Abdullah is a state leader who has a national stature, who can be considered as a national leader. Should we say that, if he has done it as reported by the paper, he's just being pragmatic?
Absolutely. In fact, I think I'm glad
अमित शाह जी ने तो बोल दिया था 2014 के बाद, वो तो जुमला था. So in politics, he can also be pragmatic.
Absolutely, and he is very pragmatic. In fact, what I mentioned, what I wanted to say is, you rightly pointed out that he's the tallest leader of Jammu and Kashmir today. He's totally mainstream. He has no sort of, he's not close to any separatist. He has always taken what one would consider a consensus line on Jammu and Kashmir, which all parties in the country accept. I mean, of course, for the sake of elections, they put the Article 370 restoration in the manifesto. But Omar Abdullah is very practical, he's very pragmatic, level-headed, and I would say it would be great if he's left undisturbed for 5 years, because Kashmir really requires a lot of healing touch right now. A new government has just come. So instead of screaming what he hasn't done, if the opposition can begin constructive criticism and what can be done, that would be much better. But obviously, we don't think separatists, especially like Engineer Rashid and others.
Back to Mr. Fayaz. Mr. Fayaz, you said that you tried your best. This was a newspaper report. It came out in the newspaper. Then the opposition has reacted to it, and you said that maybe the reason why opposition is reacting because they have got a huge electoral drubbing by Omar Abdullah. But I am asking on the premise of the report that has been published, doesn't it reflect Omar Abdullah's political pragmatism? Because he has to balance Valley, he has to balance Jammu. There are new circumstances. It's not a full state. It's a new responsibility and challenge for Mr. Abdullah.
I can comment on it when it's established that there is such kind of a resolution which says only the restoration of statehood. As of now, it is very difficult for me to comment on it.
Your comment? No, sorry. I think you got my question wrong. I'm not asking your comment. I'm asking you if the report is right in the newspaper, doesn't it reflect his pragmatism?
It can, but at the same time, you have to see it in this context that restoration of Article 370 has been a larger aspiration of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, particularly the Kashmir Valley, who have voted en masse for national conference, and until now it looks very irreconcilable for his voters, for his constituency, but it can be maybe Omar, he has leadership skills. He can take it to the pragmatic levels, but as of now, it looks very unlikely for me that there is such kind of a resolution at this point of time.
But Mr. Fayaz, even if there is no resolution, are you saying that the vote for the valley was on the issue of 370?
Yes, absolutely.
So you are saying that. So are you saying that
Yes.
NC's mandate rests on the issue of 370, not just on the full statehood?
Absolutely. This is clear to me. I have interacted with thousands of people during the elections, in Lok Sabha elections as well as in the state elections. This is not my opinion. The people I met, most of them, I can say that 80, 90% of them said that we must get 370 back. But at the same time, I'm aware that this is a very complex issue. The Bharatiya Janata Party has successfully made it a national narrative at the national level, and because of that, Congress has backtracked and they have gone out of this People's Alliance for Gupkar declaration. I'm aware of that, but you're asking me about the aspiration in Kashmir, about whether the vote is for it. It's very clear to me that the majority of vote to Omar Abdullah and National Conference is because they have a commitment to it that we will restore. They have said that we will strive for restoration of all that what has been snatched away in August of 2019. When they are asked to specify, then they say that Article 370.
Isn't that going to be a big challenge, Ajit? If I go by Fayaz for Omar Abdullah, if that's the emotional sentiment on which the mandate rests, isn't that going to be a challenge? Because you see, the statehood will happen. If not tomorrow, then day after tomorrow. If not in next 2 years, in next 5 years. That's the commitment. But there is also a national consensus that 370 is not coming back. And 370 cannot be seen from the prism of Srinagar anymore. It needs to be seen from the prism of Delhi. That's the change dynamic of the Indian politics. Ajit.
Well, to begin with, Karthike, let's clarify. Article 370 restoration is only an issue in the Kashmir Valley, not in Jammu. Okay? Jammu, I don't think is article, and remember, 47 versus 43 seats. So almost half, right? So that means half the state will obviously not want the restoration of Article 370. It's just basically a valley issue. Of course, they have, Jammu and Kashmir as a state enjoyed it since 1949, and it gave them a special status. So it will continue to remain a dream for the people. And therefore, very intelligently, Omar Abdullah and the National Conference put it in the manifesto, and kept mentioning it. However, as I said, because Omar Abdullah, as you said, is a very pragmatic leader, and as I said during the campaign, he had given indications that, yeah, we will try. But he said that given the present dispensation in Delhi, it is going to be difficult. So we will try. But beyond that, I don't think, even though it's an emotional issue, it will raise a lot of temperature, it will raise emotions. But I don't think people are going to judge Omar Abdullah on that basis, because people realize that you need a ratification by Parliament, right, for the restoration of Article 370 and 2/3 majority. So that is not going to take place. It's not in the hands of Omar Abdullah, certainly not as a chief minister of a union territory. So people are that way, they're able to filter it down. They will not judge him on that. The opposition can keep harping. They will judge him on what he does on the ground in issues which are under his hands. Like, for example, I mentioned education, things like health, governance, and other issues, agriculture, very, very important in Jammu and Kashmir. Tourism, for example, which should be restored, tourism should be brought back, all that.
I think, Ajit, the more important that he will also be judged by the way he runs it, because there's a huge challenge. It's not a full state. And And Omar Abdullah has run a full and a highly empowered state in a different sense of the word. So it's a big challenge for him. I recall his interview. He said, I'm not willing to be the chief minister of this half a state. Then he changed his position. So obviously in politics these positions change. But my point is, even if it's a report published in a newspaper which the government has neither denied nor confirmed, but even if it has passed, my personal take is that this is pure political pragmatism. And Omar Abdullah is not a one-day politician. He has served in Atal Bihari Vajpayee's Council of Ministers. I remember meeting him, and I think early 2001 or 2000 with my then editor, late Sachinand Murthy, as the MOS Commerce Minister. We had gone to do his interview. So Mr. Abdullah has come a long way. And even if he has to deal with this new reality, I would say, Ajit, he's just being pragmatic. He knows which way the wind is blowing. And he also
Remember, Karthikeya, when he joined, remember his 3 words that he said in a press conference. He said, I am back. That's an echo of Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan left basketball and came to baseball, he said, I am back. So he realizes that his 5 years in the past as Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir state and today as Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister of a union territory is exactly like Michael Jordan's change from basketball to baseball.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's definitely. But it's a tough job he has. There is no doubt about it. So I thank both you and Fayaz. And in the end, I would leave you with the bite of Ravinder Raina, which I just couldn't play. All shades of opinion. I have played a bite of Engineer Rashid. I had played a bite of the People's PDP's leader. Now let me play out the bite at the end of Bharatiya Janata Party.
जम्मू कश्मीर की जो सरकार की कैबिनेट मीटिंग में किस प्रकार की चर्चा हुई है उसका कोई ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट में, कोई लिखित में, कोई प्रारूप, कोई डॉक्यूमेंट पब्लिक डोमेन में नहीं आया है। मीडिया और सोशल मीडिया में हम देख रहे हैं कि जम्मू कश्मीर सरकार की मुख्यमंत्री जी के अध्यक्षता में जो बैठक हुई है उसमें किसी रेजोल्यूशन की बात मीडिया और सोशल मीडिया में सामने आ रही है, अन्यथा उसका कोई प्रारूप, कोई डॉक्यूमेंट, कोई पब्लिक डोमेन में नहीं है। जब तक उसका ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट हमारे पास नहीं आएगा उस पर कोई बातचीत हम नहीं कर सकते।
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है Money9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
So I'm Payal Nath, the CEO and Director of Kadam Heart. We are working with people, we are working with emotions, we are working with hands, we are working with nature.
We are very clear, we want to commit to livelihoods, we want to commit to the planet, we want to impact 1 million artisans, which is 1 million families minimum.
Be the change that you want to see.
This and more. Streaming on News9 plus news is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
The telecom industry is heating up with a business battle rarely seen in India. Facing off with Reliance Industries CMD Mukesh Ambani is maverick billionaire Elon Musk. The two are pushing for different approaches for the distribution of broadband spectrum. The Reliance boss has even written to Telecom Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia about it. So why are Mukesh Ambani and Elon Musk feuding over spectrum? News9 Plus decodes. The battle of the billionaires is brewing. This time around, the fighting is happening in the telecom arena.